Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Imagineers Disney Podcast. I am your host, Matt, and I'm here with Susie.
Hello.
Hope you're having a... What?
I was just... Sorry. That's the most least creative thing I ever do, is just say hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Anyway, hope you are having a wonderful week so far. I know it's only Monday. Hope you don't have the case of the Mondays. But
Aww.
if you do, hopefully we'll cheer you up with some Disney talk. So
Yeah, start planning your next vacation.
Oh,
or
yeah.
at least physically and in your mind, just go to your happy place. Maybe it's one of these two resorts we're about to talk about.
Ooh, teaser.
Yeah, transition.
Well, we kind of teased it in the last episode, what we'd be talking about. But for those of you who missed the last episode, we are going to be talking about our favorite value resorts.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that Disney World can be daunting, especially on the checkbook sometimes. And sometimes you just need to go on a budget. And Disney offers some really great options for those of you who are looking to save some money. And you can save some money by going to the value resorts around the property. So the value resorts are Pop Century, and then we have the three All-Stars. We have All-Star Music, All-Star Movies, All-Star Sports, and then we have Art of Animation, which is kind of like a hybrid value resort, hybrid moderate resort. The moderate end being the family suites with the Lion King, Finding Nemo, and Cars. And then over on the other end of the resort, we have the Little Mermaid rooms, which are actually basically a clone of the rooms over at Pop Century. It's actually a really interesting discussion, the history of Pop Century. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, Susie.
I'm not. I'm very intrigued. What's the history of the Pop Century
Well,
Resort?
we will talk about this real quick because I think it is important. I think it's kind of cool. A little sad, but So originally, Pop Century was going to cover the entire century.
Oh.
Imagine that.
Now, don't get me wrong. We've talked extensively on this podcast about Dapper Day, and I love vintage things. I love the mid-century 40s, 30s, 50s too, like style of things. But it just made me think for a second, like, is there electricity in like the 1910s rooms? Which is obviously a dumb question, but I'm trying to think, like, what are they going to have? Like burlap blankets? But so how were they?
Okay. So
why did they decide against it?
Well, the resort was going to be split up into two sides. There was going to be a side from 1900 through the 1940s. And then, of course, now we know that there is in the existing resort at Pop Century, we have the 1950s through the 1990s. So those are the classic years. And what the 1900s through the 1940s, those were going to be the legendary years.
Huh.
And the little bridge that was going to connect both of them was going to be called the Generation Gap Bridge.
Oh my gosh.
It is still there. And okay, so basically what happened was 9/11. After 9/11, tourism for a while just kind of plummeted. They were actually done with the main building, and then one of the other buildings. Obviously, it wasn't furnished or anything, but like the structures were in place, and they were just sat there for years, abandoned basically.
Wow.
And they were kind of an eyesore. I mean, you could actually see them from Pop Century and across the bridge and stuff. And eventually, they put up a barrier at the bridge and then later on in the 2000s, it was decided that they were going to kind of redo those buildings and add on to them and actually build a completely different resort. They went away from the 1900 to 1940 idea, and what we have now is Art of Animation.
Cool.
So
I didn't know that.
yes, so the Little Mermaid rooms were originally supposed to be part of that Pop Century expansion.
Very cool.
So there you go. Disney history.
Disney history. And speaking of pop and changes, I believe they recently had some renovations.
Oh, yes. And in case you haven't figured it out, my favorite value resort and the one that I'm going to be talking about is Pop Century.
Yes.
So, and the reason why is because of the new renovation. Pop Century now is my go-to value resort for myself, for my clients. I always recommend Pop Century now because they are almost done. I think there's one building left that they have to renovate. But so chances of you getting a renovated room at Pop Century are significantly higher than at the other resorts. And they have already started on the All-Star resorts. All-Star Movies is actually the first All-Star resort that is getting the pretty much the exact same renovation that Pop went through. So for right now, Pop is going to be your best option for a value resort, and this is why. Because of all the stuff that they've done. One of the things about the value resorts is that the rooms come standard with 2 double beds, and nobody wants that anymore. I mean, that's kind of like a turn off. I mean,
Yeah.
especially with the moderates and the deluxes automatically having queen size beds. Sometimes the value resorts can be a hard sell because of that. But what they have actually done in Pop Century, they have switched to 2 queen beds. And the way it's laid out is there is a queen bed closest to the wall to the bathroom. That is a permanent fixture. And then they have a Murphy bed, which doubles as the room desk. So if there are just a couple of people and you only need 1 bed, you never have to pull the second bed down, and you have that desk there, and then you have the extra space on the floor. And then if you need that second queen bed, you're getting a larger bed.
Cool.
So that always helps. Plus, the beds are now higher. They're very similar to what you can experience on the Disney Cruise Line. Yep, you can put your suitcase underneath your bed. And
thank goodness.
So
clear that space out a little bit.
Yep. And then on top of that, they have ripped out all of the carpet and replaced it with this nice wood linoleum. So no more gross carpet to walk
questionable.
barefoot. Slightly questionable to walk barefoot on. So it's going to be much easier for housekeeping to maintain and clean. And on top of that, they've gotten just kind of a contemporary look. It's there's some nice Disney Mickey artwork on the wall, and the colors are nice. The TVs have been upgraded to much larger TVs. I mean, I think they're on par with what you can see at deluxe resorts. I mean, they're humongous.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. We're going to Pop in August.
No, you're going to love it. And then also they have USB chargers on either end of the bed. So that's always nice. They have upgraded the bathroom fixtures. So it's a really nice sink area. And then what they have done with the bathrooms, and it depends on the room that you get. One of the important things, especially that I like to express to my clients, is that if there's something specific that you want, just let me know. Or if you're booking on your own, put it in the request. So, and then whatever is your number one request, put that first, and then usually they will do their best. The staff will do their best to accommodate to those. But with the bathroom renovation, there are some rooms that have maintained the bathtub shower combo, but there are other rooms that have a walk-in shower.
Interesting.
Yes.
I don't actually think I've been to a hotel that has had that.
Yep. The walk-in shower is very nice. It was actually in the room that I had last, and I went up to the front desk and specifically asked if the shower tub combos were still available, and they said yes, some rooms do have those. So if you're a family that has kids and you need to use the bathtub for baths, that's the time where you can request that option and try to get you a room with the shower tub combo. So
good point.
So yeah, great rooms, and then on top of that, I mean the resort amenities are still great for Disney. I mean, the benefits of staying on property versus off property.
Yeah.
One, I mean, you got bus transportation to the parks. I mean, it's right there. You got the huge food court at Pop Century.
Yeah, Pop has a great food court, and their breakfast selection is amazing.
Mickey waffles for the win.
Oh, always, every time.
And the tie-dye cheesecake.
Oh, yeah, that's a great little snack.
Yep. Only found at Pop Century.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they have actually brought my favorite dessert, Dole Whip. Yes, you can get Dole Whip at the food court at Pop Century, so that's cool. And what else is cool is the Hippy Dippy pool. So the resort has a great pool area. It's a nice large pool. The shadow box things that are in the lobby, I don't know if you've ever seen those.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those were actually really cool. So there's memorabilia from different decades. Like they have like a big wheel, I think, in one of them. So I miss my big wheel. Good times.
Yeah, go
roller skates and
go check out all the details.
Yeah. I think there was some stuff from like Saturday Night Fever. So I mean, like it's actual memorabilia. It's pretty cool. So, well, that is my favorite value resort, hands down. Pop Century, currently the best option at Walt Disney World. Boom.
I also love Pop. However, I'm going to go in a slightly different direction. And this is just based on having gone to this resort on a very, very regular basis for the last 17 years or so. And that is Fort Wilderness. Ooh. Do want to go ahead and disclaimer. So Fort Wilderness has a couple of different options. There's the campground side, which if you have, like you own or you rent a motorhome or a travel trailer, or you can even conventional tent camping at Fort Wilderness, that falls under the value resort. However, if you stay in one of the cabins, that falls under the moderate resort category. I've never stayed in the cabin, so that's why I'm counting Fort Wilderness as my value resort, because I've only stayed in it when we take our motorhome down as a family.
But I have stayed in the cabins, and they are great. So I know that this is a value resort episode, so we will not go into great detail of the cabins, but one thing I love about the cabins, well, one thing I dislike about the cabins, only one bathroom. So that can be a little challenging with 6 people, but
it can, but each loop also has a comfort station. So just a little heads up of how Fort Wilderness is laid out. It's huge, first of all. So you're in Fort Wilderness. Up front is where the buses take you to the different resorts, minus Magic Kingdom, because there's a boat in the back of the property that takes you on a boat to Magic Kingdom. But the way you get up front is by taking different buses within Fort Wilderness, because it's so big. So there's different loops, all of which have cute little alliterative nature names. There's like Big Bear and Little Bear Trail. Now I can't think of literally any of them, but cute little names like that. And in each one, there are comfort stations for those of you who have larger parties and maybe you have one bathroom on your motorhome or in the cabin, or you're staying in a tent and you have 0 bathrooms. Their comfort stations are super clean, regular bathrooms, and they also have showers, which are also very well kept. So you have that option. Don't ever think that, you're just going to use like a porta potty or something. You're technically camping, but you're never too far away from a great Disney amenity, such as a very clean bathroom and shower.
Very helpful information there, for sure.
Thank you. I try.
So yeah, before we go back to the campsites, so I think real quick with the cabins, if
Yeah.
if you're looking to save some money, because okay, so the cabins are gonna run you $350 a night ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that not a value price
No.
by any means.
No.
However, they do have one of the nicest things of any resort property at Disney. That's including deluxe and stuff that you can only find in like the deluxe villas. You have a full size kitchen inside the cabin.
Yes, that's very helpful. Um, if you also have a, obviously if you have a motorhome or a trailer, you also have a kitchen. And that's one of the things that I love so much about Fort Wilderness is we always bring a ton of food and we
Mm.
normally eat at least one, sometimes two meals on the motorhome. Or if you have a cabin, you have that option for inside your cabin. So you're not having to go pay upwards 15, 20 plus dollars per person every meal, including breakfast. So you can bring your frosted flakes or your oatmeal or your toast or whatever and just cook it right there.
Yep, comes with refrigerator, freezer, microwave, stovetop. Has a dishwasher. You don't have to do your dishes though. The housekeeping will take care of that. And then of course your outdoor grill.
Mm-hmm.
So literally, if you wanted to eat every meal inside your cabin, you could.
You
So
could you could bring all of your own food. Great option for people very conscious of how much money they spend on additional things in the park. Um,
so we'll talk about the cabins at a different time. So let's go
yeah.
back to the campsites. So I know that you frequent the campsites pretty
Mhm.
regularly with your
Yeah.
RV. So
Yeah, we're quite the RVing, motorhoming. Our family takes the motorhome to Fort Wilderness a lot. However, the technical correct way of saying that is, but that's what we do. We bring our
recreational
dog,
vehicle.
recreational vehicle. We bring our dog, who is actually on the floor next to me as I'm recording this, sleeping. Bowden. We've there's several resorts now that allow you to bring pets for that additional fee. There is an additional fee at Fort Wilderness. It's not near the amount as you would pay for a regular resort, but you can bring your dog. They've got a dog park, it's very open, lots of trails, pet friendly area in general. So bring the
Side
whole group.
note, side note, the pet thing at the other resorts is probably going away in the fall. Well, it
Really?
was a pilot program,
Yeah, I thought it was going well.
we'll haven't heard if it's going to be extended, but I
Let's
believe it was
see.
scheduled only to go through October. But we will see what happens.
All right. Interesting. TBD. If it does go away, and you want to bring your pet, there's of course, different kennel options, and there's one on property. But Fort Wilderness is pet friendly, and Bowden has made many friends at the dog park. Um, Speaking of the dog park, there's this interesting part of the dog park. If you've ever been, you may notice the giant hump in the middle. That's not just a random hill. That is actually part of what used to be a train that went throughout Fort Wilderness.
Nostalgia.
Oh, nostalgia. Walt Disney was a huge fan of trains. We can see that in the parks today. Any biography or show or anything you see about him, you've probably seen the footage of him riding the train in his backyard. Well, that translated over to Fort Wilderness, which opened in 1971, again, several years after Walt passed, but kind of carrying on that train tradition. And you can see the remnants of that train track in different places. You can see the mounds where the track used to sit. There are areas where you can actually, under gravel or grass, you can see the cross ties from the track. It's just a really cool piece of Disney history that's still there if you've got a good eye.
So cool, like
Yeah.
really cool. Wow.
Yeah. I also really like Fort Wilderness because it's so secluded. You're at Disney because there's Disney theming everywhere, and it's that Disney uh, quality of service. But you also just feel like you're in a completely different place. Sometimes there's noise and there's cars and there's buses, but for the most part, it's a very quiet
Yeah.
area. There's trails. You can see animals. We've seen everything. They used to have peacocks way, way back in the day that roamed. Do you
Yeah.
know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about?
I do.
You can see deer all the time.
I think it is
Possums.
one of the most if not the most relaxing resort environment at Disney.
I think so. I think so because you also can do so much just in Fort Wilderness. You don't even need to leave to go to a park or do anything.
I've
There's
actually
so
yeah,
many options.
yeah, I've actually stayed at the campground and did not step foot in the park.
Yeah, we normally take at least when we're on a longer trip, a full day and just like enjoy Fort Wilderness and not just the pools. There's I believe two pools, one over more in the cabin area, and then a central, the Meadow Trading Post pool area, where there's also a lot of other activities such as you can rent kayaks, canoes, paddle boats, thing you sit in and kind of like pedal your legs. We did that one time. It was exhausting. That's also where you can rent bicycles. There's tennis courts, volleyball, tetherball, playground. But there's also some of those amenities throughout the rest of the property. They're not all centrally located in one area. There's multiple playgrounds. So even if you're not in a spot that's close to the trading post, you can find something to do basically everywhere.
Yeah, and try Circle D.
Yes,
Um,
I mean, but like y'all get tri-circle, three circles because Mickey Mouse with the circles.
mm-hmm.
Okay. Just
Disney
making sure.
trivia, yes.
Yeah, so you
So,
can do horseback riding. I've actually never done horseback riding at Fort Wilderness. It's on the bucket list. I get distracted by all the other great stuff you can do. There's
there's so
fishing,
much.
boat rentals. Yeah, I mean, literally, if you are even like blacked out, and you can't go to the park. Like, just Fort Wilderness is such a relaxing place to go hang out.
Yeah, there's so much to do. There's activities. There's even some night activities
Mm-hmm.
like the campfire.
Yep, with Chip and Dale. So every night they do a campfire where there's a campfire and there's Chip and Dale, and they play a Disney movie, and that is no extra charge to come and watch. They also, though, you can make s'mores, or you can bring your own s'mores if you want to make some stuff.
It's the
There's some
only
singing.
yeah they sing songs, and it's the only resort that has a character meet and greet.
Huh. Oh my
Seriously,
gosh,
think about it.
I've never thought about it that way. It's because it's not a character meal. It's just like a thing that they do every night.
Yep.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
not at a restaurant. You don't have to have a dining reservation.
Mind blown.
You're
Yeah.
just there at the campground, and Chip and Dale come around, and
Yeah. Just definitely bring a bug repellent
for
because
sure,
it's Florida.
Deet is your friend.
Kids activities, they do like crafts and different things, archery. My mom did archery one time. She enjoyed it until like afterwards. She, bless her heart, had like a bruise on her arm because she was like so into it. I don't know, I guess it like bumped her arm, but that was a ramble. Please edit that out. There's archery too at Fort Wilderness. So yeah, just take a look when you check in. They give you like a full list of everything that you can do, a schedule of the movies, and if you can, schedule some time out to just take a day, take a couple of hours, and explore.
So let's talk about some dining options, shall we?
Ooh, I always love talking about dining options all the time, every day. Dining options. So we talked about you can bring your own food because there's kitchens in your motorhome, there's kitchens in your trailer, or if you're doing the moderate option with the cabins, there are several stores at Fort Wilderness where you can go in and get snacks or just like frozen food. But we're not at Disney to eat frozen pizza. That's just an extra option you have.
Nope.
There are fantastic restaurants at Fort Wilderness. Oh my gosh. My personal favorite, Trails End. And what I love about Trails End is going for a late breakfast.
I think the breakfast there is one of the best
the-
breakfast buffets.
It's my favorite.
Yeah.
It's the best breakfast buffet I've ever had. And if you go on Sundays, they have a brunch buffet. So it's a little bit more, but you have even more food options. Like there's basically like mashed potatoes next to like cornflakes. It's just kind of a hodgepodge of different things, but it's all delicious. So I mentioned that Fort Wilderness has been around for quite a while. And there are some cast members who work at Trails End that I must bring attention to because
Yes.
they are just as iconic, really, as the resort itself. Miss Josephine is the hostess who seats you at breakfast time. She has been working at Disney for close to 40 or a little over 40 years. She is just so friendly and personable. And she just, I mean, you can just get into such a sweet conversation with her about anything. She is just a amazing, sweet lady. And then I recommend when you go for breakfast to ask for Ken for your waiter. Ken has also been working at Fort Wilderness for about the same amount of time. I think a little bit longer than Miss Josephine has. And he's one of the reasons, to be honest with you, that Fort Wilderness is so special to my family. We RV a lot, so it is convenient that Disney has an RV park. But we always try to go and have breakfast with Ken. That's like our family kind of weird thing is breakfast at Trail's End. Yes, it's delicious, but we always get Ken. He just embodies that Disney cast member magic that you're expecting.
And I think, people like Ken and Josephine, they are like the unsung heroes of Disney, and they are legends in the eyes of so many Disney fans. And I feel that way about so many of the cast members, especially at the resorts. Obviously with Richard over at the Grand Floridian.
Yes.
Very sad that he passed. But just the dedication to giving families, great memories. And then someone like him, I just don't know if you can ever replace someone like that.
No, I don't think so. They're special, and so many people at Disney work in so many different capacities trying to give you that great vacation. And there's so many people behind the scenes that you don't even see who are working to give you a great experience. But when you can consistently go to a place and see a face and they thank you for recommending them, or they remember you, or they see your FSU t-shirt like Ken did, and we talk about Florida State because his daughter went there, and it's just great memories over the years with the same cast member. It's priceless. It really is. It's such a sweet thing that you can have a connection with someone that you don't really know, that maybe you see once a year or once every couple of years, and just always get a good experience.
Yeah, and I think another one just off the top of my head, Auntie Cowie over at the Polynesian. Well, I won't go into detail about her just yet. Spoiler alert, whenever we do the Deluxe Resort episode, the Polynesian is my favorite Deluxe Resort. So,
is it because of the Dole Whip?
Maybe.
Okay.
So, but Auntie Cowie has actually been there since day one.
Wow.
So, legend.
Yeah.
But we will talk more about her on that episode. But yeah. So I think the just special memories like that, at the resorts, are definitely memorable. So.
Yeah, another place that you can make great memories at Fort Wilderness is the Hoop-Dee-Doo Review.
Yes.
So it's one of those shows that you know what you're getting into. It's going to be a little cheesy and kind of silly and a little over the top and loud, but it's so much fun. I definitely recommend doing the Hoop-Dee-Doo Review. We did it a couple of years ago with the family style food at your table. I've said this before and I will say it, like, I will scream it till my face is red. Like, Disney is so good at accommodating people with different dietary needs. And this was one of the best vegetarian options that my dad has had at Disney that they created for him and our table. So shout out to the chef, who, I don't know your name. There's a low chance you're listening to this, but a couple of years ago, great job, sir. Or ma'am.
Yeah, there's all the resorts in general. I mean, the restaurants are so accommodating for people with allergies or dietary restrictions. But for those of you who are not vegetarian, I am raising my hand.
Yeah, no, the meat's great.
The fried chicken is not something to take lightly. It's pretty great.
You know where else there's really good meat? At Fort Wilderness. Mickey's Backyard Barbecue.
Well, hold on, wait.
Oh,
We're not
no.
done. No, wait. Wait,
I thought that was gonna be such a good transition. I'm so sorry, I got
it
excited.
almost was, but God, there's one last thing I want to say about Hoop Doo, just because it's
Okay,
so great.
do it.
Did you know that it is the country's longest running dinner show?
I did not.
It has been running
Oh,
every stinking night since 1974.
wow. Give it up for Hoop to Do review.
So yeah, Guinness Book of World Records right there. Hoop-de-doo review.
I can see why. It is fun.
It is fun. If you are an introvert, maybe not.
Yeah. There is some
If you're on the main
participation
floor, yeah. So
that they'll ask you to do. And yeah, just I mean, if you don't want to go along with it, then don't go along with it. But if you're on the fence about it, I encourage you to go along with it. It's
so
so fun.
much fun, so much fun. Okay, you can go over to Mickey's Backyard Barbecue now.
So there's Mickey's Backyard Barbecue. I feel like this is the surprise has been taken away.
I feel ashamed.
Anyway, Mickey's Backyard Barbecue, which is the third dining option, and I believe most expensive as it's a character meal at Fort Wilderness.
Yep, you have Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Goofy, and Chip and Dale that will be at the party, and they're dressed in kind of a. The outfits are pretty special, so they're like. I'm trying to think. How do I even just like it's. What's the Western like kid show that I'm trying to think of? Howdy Doody.
Oh, like Howdy Doody.
Yeah, it's like how do you do? I mean, it's just like this, the red, like the red.
The gingham.
Yeah. So yeah, it's fun, great for kids, and the food's pretty good too. So I mean, you have barbecue ribs, you got smoked chicken, hamburgers, hot dogs, corn on the cob, mac and cheese. There's, yeah, it's pretty nice spread there.
Yeah, I actually failed to mention this earlier, but it kind of also works. So near the backyard barbecue, kind of in that back corner of Fort Wilderness, is also a little area with some ponies that you can go see, and then they have the stable where you can look in and see the giant like Clydesdales that do the different horse-drawn carriages. Those, I mean, I'm no like horse expert, but they are beautiful animals. So it has nothing to do with eating barbecue, but it's kind of located right next to it. Is the stable area. Not that's a separate section from where you horseback ride, which is up at the front of the campground, and the stables where you can see different horses are in the back.
Yep. And Mickey's Backyard Barbecue is dangerously close to what used to be
River Country.
River Country.
Yeah. There's a couple of rumors, words on the street that
Yes.
could be turned
To a
into
resort.
a resort, possibly a Disney Vacation Club area. I mean, it's just sitting there. If you look at pictures of it, it's really eerie because like River Country was a water park next with Fort Wilderness. Don't remember off the top of my head the year that it closed, but it used water from the lake. So it wasn't like your conventional, super chlorinated water like you would find at Typhoon Lagoon or Blizzard Beach. But over the years, they drained it and they just let it be. And so like vines and stuff have grown on top of it, and it looks like a weird like post-apocalyptic water
Yeah,
park.
that's a good word for it. It closed back in 2001, and they just kind of let it go. And people have,
Everyone's thinking of Elsa for every time that phrase is used.
yeah, but people have gone back there. Do not go back there unless you want to be
It's majorly
trespassed. So, not a wise decision, but I don't even think you can even get back there even if you wanted to now that they're doing work back there with, I know they've done some soil tests and with the land. So it's looking like we're going to get a resort. So we'll see what the timetable looks like on that. But I don't know if it'll be ready for Magic Kingdom's 50th in 2021, but they're going to need the rooms.
Yeah, I just that one of my favorite. I've mentioned it, but I love the Fort Wilderness. It's huge, but it also feels, that secluded feel. And so I'm just a little. I hope it doesn't get too crowded by opening this up to another resort. I like that it's quiet and you can just sit in a rocking chair outside your motorhome or your tent and just be. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
I'm really curious to see what if this resort that is rumored comes to fruition. I'm curious to see what the theming is going to be. I'm wondering if it's going to tie into the Wilderness Lodge slash Fort Wilderness Campground theme.
Maybe. It may be a little something that's similar, but takes still that kind of outdoorsy theme to a different area. Speaking real quick though of Wilderness Lodge, there's also a trail between the two resorts if you want to bike or run or walk. And that's also kind of in that back corner near the stables, which is near Mickey's Backyard Barbecue.
So yeah, great resort overall, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I could go on and on about Fort Wilderness. I really could, just because it's its own. I mean, everything at Disney is an experience in and of itself, but that's probably the place that I've been where I can say the most that I am satisfied not going to one of the parks, because there's so many activities and fun things to do.
Yeah, I mean it is a gem of the Disney resorts, and there's so much to do.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think that'll about do it for today. I think we have, hopefully given you some great information about our favorite value resorts. We'd love to hear what your favorite value resort is. So just leave a comment on Facebook or tweet us and join the conversation on the subject. And hope you've enjoyed today's episode, everyone. And until next time, remember, if you can dream it, you can do it.